Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a vlog thing because, well, I haven't done one in a while. But anyways, it's me, Vile One. How are you? And I need to shave. I know. This is my dorm room, which many of you probably haven't seen yet, because this is the new. Well, it's not new semester because it's about halfway over already. But most of you, I haven't done a vlog in a while, mainly because my video webcam recorder program was not working, or I accidentally uninstalled it. So yeah. Anyway, happy Halloween! It's Halloween now. And you may have noticed, some of you may have noticed that I haven't been up, those of you, the whole five of you that subscribe to my YouTube channel may have noticed I haven't gotten all my, I've been kind of slow on the updates. Mainly because I've been lazy in school and other stuff that I don't want to get into right now. But I am going to upload them all, and I'm going to do some recording today of Left 4 Dead 2. So I'm gonna finish the game up, like the last two campaigns, Blood Harvest and the Sacrifice, which I don't think I've done either of those. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about, since it's Halloween, I thought I'd talk about H.P. Lovecraft or Howard Philip Lovecraft, which I don't think anyone has. I don't think I've talked about him before. Now, to those of you who don't know who Howard Philip Lovecraft is, he's an old 1920s 1920s horror writer. And for his time, he was very creative and very original compared to his contemporaries. Um, and the reason, and he had a huge influence on modern horror writing and film and all that jazz. Now, what made him so different than most other horror writers of his time, whereas most horror writers of the time were writing about like vampires and zombies. Well, I mean, not zombies as we know them now, but like vampires and werewolves and all ghosts and all that jazz. He mostly wrote about really weird shit. Now, I can't even begin to talk about. I could go on for hours about the different kinds of types of stories he would talk about, or and the types of beings he would talk about. But yeah, I'd be here all day, so I'm not going. But the as a general, as a big thing, one thing you probably know of his that he created is Cthulhu. You probably see him all over the internet. But Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu, was his pretty much his flagship story, which pretty much set up how almost all of his other stories were written. Um, like the general themes and feel of his stories, anyway. And just the way he writes and the stories he writes about are just so interesting and well thought out and written. Just his wording is amazing. His prose is amazing. But his storytelling is also very good for its time. Um, and very creative. A lot of the stuff was very different than anything else out there. Like, for instance, in one of his stories, there are these things. I kind of actually I almost don't want to spoil it for you. But if you want to look up some of his stuff. Just look up H.P. Lovecraft or the Cthulhu Mythos on Wikipedia. Um, the Cthulhu Mythos is basically the shared universe that almost all of his stories take place in. That they're very interconnected, and they're named after Cthulhu because Cthulhu was the flagship story. The Call of Cthulhu was his flagship story, which pretty much set in stone his themes and ideas that he put forth when he was writing them. And I would, if you're interested, look up some of his work, namely the Call of Cthulhu, the Shadow over Innsmouth, the Dunwich Horror, um, what's it called? The Shadow Out of Time, I think it's called, At the Mountains of Madness. All of those are really great stories by him. Um, some words of warning though, and this is one of the problems I have with reading Lovecraft because I haven't read a whole lot of his stuff, mainly because of this. But the way he writes is very archaic, even for his time. Like he lived in the 1920s, like mid to like late to mid to late 20s. He died at the age of 35 due to cancer. But he lived in the 20s 30s era, kind of late 20s, and so. even for that time, he was considered the way he wrote was very archaic, and he's very prose heavy, very wordy because it's an old because old literature is like that. It's very wordy, very a lot of unnecessary words a lot of the time, very heavy on the text. But I still find them very haunting and creepy for the most part. Um, in a lot of ways, his works is kind of designed for people who aren't that spiritual or believe in things like gods or in God or may or may not necessarily believe in God or spiritual things. Not to say that non-atheists can enjoy his work, but that's kind of what he designed them for. It was for atheists or more secular people because they deal with more like alien entities than they do with like ghosts and stuff like that. But I would highly recommend any of his work. Another big problem with Lovecraft, other than his wordiness and his big words, you will need a dictionary to read a lot of his stuff. But another problem with Lovecraft is even for his time, he was a very racist man. He was a very fearful, xenophobic person. Um, he grew up very isolated in New England, and he that's kind of why he's a horror writer because he had so many phobias, and, nightmares like every night. So he would just write them down, and he's a very racist man. Although later in like before he died though, he kind of recanted his racism. But a lot of his stories kind of have this racist feel to them. So you kind of have to look beyond that and look around that and not think about it too much. Kind of ignore it, even if it is a bit annoying. Just deal. I'm basically saying. But for the most part, his work is pretty good. I would highly recommend it to anyone. He's one of the great writers of the 20th century. Right up there with, in my opinion, with like Douglas Adams or C.S. Lewis. I would say Tolkien, but I've never actually read Lord of the Rings. I know I'm a nerd and I've never read Lord of the Rings. Shame on me. But that's what I'm gonna say about Halloween and talk about for Halloween. And I thought I'd split it up a bit because I hadn't uploaded anything in a while, or I have been, but it's been kind of sporadic and all over the place. So yeah, I guess I'll cut it there. I ramble on forever, so I don't want you guys to sit here and listen to me 20 hours straight. But anyway, talk to you later, folks. Bye bye. Bye bye. I don't know what I'm doing. Bye.